Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I am going to read what I'm going to tell you because it won't take as long as if I would get off on other tangents. And instead of singing a solo, I asked to talk to you about my walk with Christ. It had its ups and downs, but there were many more blessings than there were downs. The first, and miracles also. The first miracle was that I was born on a 125-acre farm where it had been settled by my great-grandparents. They came from Germany, and in 67 days on a sailboat, and then on with horse and buggy to go to Loveland, Ohio, where they built a log cabin. Then you can still see the logs in the upper bedrooms. It had no running water and no electricity. Now, I would like for you boys and girls especially to think about this. They did not have any electricity, so they did not have they didn't have lights. And I would like for you today, when you go home, every time you switch on a light, you think about what it would mean if you didn't have that. And also, running water. If you turn on a faucet and the water comes out, remember they did not have that. Water was pumped from a pump in the yard, in the front yard, carried in buckets inside, and if you wanted to heat them, they were heated on a big iron stove. And then you would carry the water that you didn't use back out and throw it on the ground. Also, I would like for you to think that a lot of the things that you do not have, or you do have, they did not have. Electricity, especially. I want you to think about all the things that you have that are done by electricity. Think of the things in your home that need electricity. And they didn't have telephones, no cell phones. It was like pioneers. And so I want you to think about those things and how these people lived. Think about how would you do if you didn't have any running water. And your bathroom, your toilet was out in a shed that wasn't even attached to the house. It was hot in the winter, summer, and mighty cold in the winter. My father was born on this farm and went to a one-room schoolhouse for grades 1 to 8, about a mile away. He would ride his horse to school and then send the horse home by itself, and he would walk home. He received a teaching certificate at age 19, and the first teaching job he had was in another town under a principal whose daughter became his wife and my mother. After they married, they returned to the farm, and they taught in the same one-room schoolhouse. My brother and I were born on that farm. At 6 months, I had double pneumonia twice, and my mother had to hold me for 24 hours to keep me from crying. Think about that, mother. So the first miracle was that I survived the infection. My father decided to get a better job in the business world because teaching wasn't paying very well. A stranger saw me on the street one day when I was about 6 years old and stopped my mother to tell her she probably would never raise me. another miracle. My parents then moved back to Southwest Ohio, to Hamilton, Ohio, when I was in the second grade. I attended the Methodist church. My Sunday school teacher told us the church was having a special program for people to meet Jesus as their Savior and then join the church. If we were ready, we would be included. This was when I was 10 years old, and my mother asked me she quizzed me as to whether I knew what accepting Jesus as my Savior meant. And when I answered her, she agreed. But there was a baptism with this, and she questioned that because the Methodists baptized by sprinkling holy water on your forehead. Her father had been a minister where they took them to the river and immersed them so that the whole body was covered by water. And she wanted me to have this experience. So the Baptist church in our town had a pool for this purpose, as they believed in immersion. So Mother arranged for me to be baptized at the Baptist church. And I was so glad. I've always been so glad. Because when the minister laid me down in the water and then brought me up, I knew that Jesus would be with me every step of the way of my life. And he has been. I went to middle school in a new junior high that had 7th and 8th and 9th grades. I got to walk to school as I had before, but we had to move clear across town so that I could do that. The school had 1,100 students, I think I said that. Then I went to high school because we moved back to the farm and still didn't have running water or electricity. And I was in high school, and all of high school, I lived in that house, in that farm. So I lived a pioneer life, actually. We did not have any electric washing machines. My father finally put a motor onto it. My grandmother had lived on this farm for years, and when she washed, she had to do it with a washboard and a big bucket or type of thing. And she would get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and by 6:30 she had her clothes hanging out on the line because she did not have a dryer either. And we did not have microwaves. We had the big iron stove, and that was the heat. We didn't have a furnace. So I had the experience of living a pioneer life, and it was very, very hard, and I'm glad I don't have that anymore. And the high school was, they had 125 students in all 4 grades. So my grade had 20 people in it. The high school itself was on the 2nd floor, and we had a big room where we met in the beginning, and then we would go to other classes. The elementary school was on the 1st floor. The restrooms were in the basement. The gym was a separate building, and that's where you went for home ec also. The children were very friendly and very sweet and helpful, and but I was not tempted because there was no smoking, there was no alcohol, no drugs, no dancing, and we had to bring our own lunch. There was no restaurant or cafeteria. And the only after-school events were basketball, and once a year, practice for operetta and performances. The first day, then I also had to ride a school bus. And the first day, as we came around the last bend and picked up the last fellow, the kids said, "Oh, well, here comes the professor." And I thought, oh, he must be a nerd. So here comes a young man about the size of Nicholas. You know, he was a little taller than that, bigger than that, but running down the lane, getting on the bus. And I was 14 and he was 16. And we did not realize that was the people, I didn't realize that was the boy I would marry when we had 20 and 22. In the meantime, I had finished school and he had gone to the University of Cincinnati. I was not allowed to have dates until I was 16. So he would ask my brother to go to the basketball games, and I could ride along. My mother would say, "This is not a date." He also could not carry a tune in a bucket. And when he found that we didn't have transportation to go to practice for the operetta that I had lead parts in, he volunteered to be in the chorus so that he could take us back and forth, my brother and I. Our music teacher found out that I could sing, so I did get these parts. Then when I do want to tell you about the car that he had was a Model A Ford coupe. And he had found a rumble seat that he put in the car so that there would be an outside seat. That was his convertible. I went on to won a 4-year paid scholarship to a Quaker school in Richmond, Indiana. And I went 1 year, but they did not have a good music program. So I interviewed with the dean of college at Cincinnati musical school and a German professor at the College of Music, asking them, should I become a music teacher or should I develop the voice? And they said, develop the voice, but you need a job to pay for the lessons. So I became a beautician. And in the meantime, Leonard had gone to the University of Cincinnati, and when he graduated from that, we eloped. Yes, it's in my life, but anyway, was another one of the miracles. That actually we found that we had been born on farms a mile apart, but we never met, and our parents never met until high school. And I think that's such a miracle that the Lord put us in the right place, that we could meet and have our most beautiful, wonderful, marvelous life together. Another miracle, well, as I told you, for my baptism, I knew Jesus would be with me every step of the way. Well, the fifth miracle was that he took us all over the world, practically, well, I shouldn't say that, all over the United States. And the provinces across the border of Canada and the United States. Up and down both oceans, completely from New York to Key West, and from the forest in Oregon to where the swallows come in Pacific Ocean. Also, the Gulf of Mexico. Leonard and I went to Europe, and so he has gone so many steps with me. And he will help you with your dreams if you will ask him. Leonard's big dream from high school on was to fly an airplane. And when our children, two were in college and one was married, he took lessons and learned to fly a four-plane, little four-plane. So Friday nights after work, we were at this time in Portland, Maine, we would rent a plane and fly to Ohio for the weekend. It took us 14 hours by car, 6 hours by plane. And we flew at night, and I said, it's going to be so dark. There was never a place if there wasn't light. There's really no words to describe the beauty of the lifetime of walking with Christ. And my advice, if you want to really learn to do that, is every morning when you wake up and say, "Good morning, Jesus. What can I do for you today?" During the day, be aware of his nearness, and at night, thank him for the blessings of that day. The only problem with that is you won't get very much sleep. I thank you for listening, and now I'm going to sing a familiar little song. And the second time through, I'd like you children